Get away from her, you bitch!
Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Trashtalk on Lancer, Long Rim Edition. In today's episode, Kobold. Kobold, in German folklore, is a small-sized sprite that comes in three types. The first, house spirits, dwell in, houses, and helps out on chores, and if they are insulted or neglected, they can be quite an asshole. The second, mine spirits, guess where they fucking live, are considered to be complete dickhead because they were thought to be responsible for mining accidents. In fact, the metal cobalt is named after the spirit because the miners thought the kobold is pranking them with poisonous ore. The third, water spirits, who look and act like your stereotypical sailor of the older days, and are generally being helpful to the crew of a vessel. It probably leaves no doubt as to which kobold I'm talking about here. Taking up the name of the spirit, Kobold is a guerrilla skirmisher that can bury its foes in their own greed. Looking at its stats, Kobold has low health, 1 armor, along with good evasion and E-defense. It's decently fast while being tiny, has a good heat cap but poor repair cap. While its sensor range is a tiny bit below average, it still has good tech attack bonus and save target. Onto its traits, it has 3 of them. First, Mimic Carapace. When Kobold starts its turn right next to a piece of terrain or hard cover that's size 1 or larger, it becomes invisible as long as it remains beside the terrain or cover. This invisibility breaks when it attacks, takes a hit, or moves away. Second, Slag Spray. For once per round as a quick action, Kobold can shoot out molten polymer to create a size 1 hard cover on a free space within range 3 and line of sight. And third, Exposed Reactor. Kobold takes +1 difficulty on engineering checks and saves. Basically, Kobold will both create and love covers a lot, just don't get boiled alive in molten polymer. As for its weapon mount, it has a main/auxiliary along with an impressive 8 base system points. Onto its core power, Kobold can activate Terraform, in which you suddenly go from playing Lancer to Minecraft. Upon activation with a full action, Kobold sprays molten polymer everywhere, creating 10 size 1 blocks of terrain on any free spaces in range 5. You can put these cubes everywhere you want, together or separated, as long as they obey laws of physics and do not get over 5 spaces high. Real fucking mature, you piece of sh. When connected together, these polymer cubes can block line of sight together, and on the turn they are created, they provide only soft cover because they haven't had time to harden yet, and has the following stat. At the start of your next turn, the polymer blocks harden, providing hard cover and gaining +10 health, so their stat now looks like this. They also kept any prior damage they suffered. This is basically one of the more big-brained core power because while it lacks any offensive power completely, what you can do with Terraform is only limited by your imagination. Your team found themselves exposed and under fire, they now have cover. Enemy squads chasing you down a tunnel, the tunnel is now sealed off. You need to capture a target, box the fucker in. Anything is possible as long as you are creative about it. As for the rest of its license, you get Fusion Rifle and Forge Clamps. Fusion Rifle. A little focus required. The Fusion Rifle has an interesting mechanic, but basically, the further your target is, the higher the rifle's damage is. And it can go quite high consistently if you position yourself right in every turn. But its range is quite short, and if you are wondering how to deal with bonus damage, just roll them normally. Forge Clamps keep you steady in the face of turmoil. With a quick action, you can clamp onto a piece of terrain or object that's size 1 and larger. In doing so, you are immobilized, but you are also immune to any knockback and prone effect. However, this effect ends if whatever you are clamping onto is destroyed, or you just let it go as a protocol. Basically, if you want to be an immovable object, you might need this. Aside from Kobold frame itself, you get Seismic Pulse and Slag Cannon in the second section. Seismic Pulse, split the earth and rock your foes. With a full action, you explode the ground, causing a line 10 shockwave to travel from you. Any character caught in this wave, both allied and enemy, must pass a hull save or get knocked prone. All objects and blocks of terrain caught in the wave also take 10 AP energy damage automatically. And if any object or terrain are destroyed this way, they explode and anyone that's right besides them must pass an agility save or take 2d6 explosive damage, half on a success. A character is only affected by one explosion even if they are caught in multiples. This system is absolutely perfect if you want to make your enemies paranoid of any covers around them, rendering them defenseless one way or another. Slag Cannon. Feed the tyrant with the fruit of your labor. Decent damage, decent range, costs 1 heat to fire, and whether you hit or miss, after this weapon attacks a target that's on the ground or any flat surface, you create a piece of size 1 cover right next to them. Remember the part about making your enemy paranoid of cover, this is going to be rather useful. In the final section, you get Purifying Code and Immolate. Purifying Code, do as I say, not as I do. It is an invasion upgrade that gives you 2 additional options. First, Flaw Plus, causes your target's reactor to malfunction and explode for 1d6 plus 2 AP explosive damage if they did not stand close to any character or piece of terrain at the end of their next turn. Then the effect ends. Second, Flaw Minus, does basically the same thing except when your target did stand close to any character or piece of terrain at the end of their next turn. The only problems are that you can't run both of these invasion options for the same character at once, and the target is also fully aware of the effect. Still, with the limitation in mind, you can still trick the enemy into doing something that might benefit you either way. Finally, Immolate, remove their order and burn it all down. It is yet another invasion upgrade that gives you 2 additional options. First, Eject Slag, causes the target's reactor to spew burning fluid around it in Burst 2 area, leaving the space the target stands on completely unaffected. The burning liquid counts as difficult terrain, and anyone that starts their turn or moves onto it for the first time in a round must pass an engineering save or take 2 heat and 1 burn. At the end of your next turn, the liquid cools down. Second, Molten Puncture, causes your target to leak burning fluid onto itself, and for every space they move until the end of their next turn, they take 2 burn, all the way up to 6 burn. Either way, Immolate is going to stop a lot of people in their path in fear of being burned down by their ego. As a conclusion, Kobold is a terrain controller that can bend the terrain by its fury and force its enemies to either leave it or die in it. Its license is full of tools to both create and destroy terrains, turning them against its foes either physically or electronically, in all senses of the words. Either way, you want to keep a distance in a Kobold, as its traits and systems work best when you are not having your face caved in. Use it well, and you will soon see how an entire empire will bend down their knees in the face of it.